And so it happens that we have over 3 million youths who are now confirmed registered. Even though I was looking at the data as released by INEC, male, female, and then people with living with disabilities, and then you now have youths, as if, you know, there are no males and female amongst youths, but it's an interesting demographic. Maybe, I mean, we should have also clarified what age brackets is this youth category will belong to, but generally it is accepted that they'll be between the ages of 18 and 35. And we know that in recent times we had an amendment to our constitution which provided for the not too young, which accommodated the not too young to run act, where, you know, the ages were brought down for the different elective offices, ensuring that more people, more young people are included in the elective process. But then there have been questions as to whether they have not been disenfranchised or excluded by the outrageous cost of forms, nomination forms, which political parties, especially the two major political parties, are now asking for. We have Andrew Abu here with us as a member of the All Progressives Congress, the APC, and we also have Andrew Enatome, who is a member of the People's Democratic Party, and also the Chief of Staff to the National Youth Leader of the PDP. Gentlemen, you're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you for having us.
This panel should actually have a young lady, because that's the problem, you see. Where we have youths, it's just a general cover, and then you find that very soon when we look at that demographic, it will be youth, male youths. It will not include women. But thank you both of you for coming on Sunrise Elite this morning. I'm sure you must be asking yourselves, and maybe also asking amongst your friends and your colleagues, how young people are going to fare in this election. First, have you seen a lot of interest among young people in terms of seeking elective office? Let me start with you, Andrew.
Oh, okay. Incidentally, his name is also Andrew. Andrew
yes.
meets Andrew.
Indeed.
So yeah, it's nice to be here. So, you know, elections and becoming an aspirant, you know, in a political party is a serious business.
Indeed.
Okay, and you have to, you know, plan for it over time. You know, it's not something you just jump on the fray because you think, I mean, it's open and you have to also run for it and also, yeah, most of the young people we have, and by the way, the APC is a party that, you know, you have a lot of, you know, young people who participate a whole lot in the activities of the party. And quite a number of, you know, young people that I know have, you know, indicated interest in this coming 2023 election, from the State Assembly to the reps, and even in the Senate, in some cases, then even governorship and all. And these are very serious-minded people. And of course, talking about the high price of forms, especially in the APC, because I think the APC currently has the highest price on forms for, you know, all elective positions in the party. I think part of that is to also weed out mediocres, because we have a lot of those kind of people in the party. And the young people that I know are coming out for one position or the other are serious about it, and they are ready, you know, to buy their forms and, you know, join, you know, the whole activities regarding 2023.
Yesterday, within the ranks of your party, we saw a young person, a young president, or relatively young to the rest of everyone else who's picked up their forms, relatively young in that sense, pick up a presidential nomination form. He said your party had provided a 50% discount, but he said it was on the nomination form, not the expression of interest. Perhaps we should play him, because we have that particular report. Maybe when our producers find that particular report, they might draw it to our attention, bring it to our attention. But I was wondering, are the two forms separate? I mean,
yes, they broke
automatically it down. Go together?
They broke it down. So for presidential, which is 100, 30 million for expression of interest, then 70 million for nomination forms. Okay, for Guba, I think expression of interest is 20, then nominations 30. So they broke it down.
So you only get a 50%
on nomination,
on the nomination forms.
yeah. So the expression of interest is static. So for women, the expression of interest is what they pay for, and nomination forms is free for women and people with disability. Okay. So so what that will mean is if a young person below the age of 40 downwards is picking forms, for presidential, he'll be paying 50 million for it. Okay, so...
Is it 50 million now? Because 50% of 70 million, isn't that like 35 million?
Okay,
so
well...
you're paying roughly 65 million naira for the forms.
I think... Let me not say what I am not sure of, but I think the 50% should be the wholesome amount.
No, he was very clear on what it was, what it was specifically meant for. He said it was not for the expression of interest form. It was for the nomination form, and you've already clarified that it was broken down.
Yes.
If that is the case, if you're only getting a 50% discount on the nomination form and not the expression of interest, and the expression of interest is 30 million, it means that you're going to be paying at least 35 million naira. So that's put together 65 million naira.
Well, the truth is, becoming a president of Nigeria is not a child's play, and it's a serious business. Okay, and this is not to say if you don't have money you shouldn't be in politics, but the business of being a president of this country is serious, and you must at every point in time be ready for that position. Okay, so what it means is that for every step of the way you should be ready, and that is why for a lot of times where we meet young people coming to solicit for funds to buy their forms and everything, in as much as you want to help, it still just gives you that feeling like, come on, if you're not ready for this, why are you throwing your heart in it? So we cannot, those are the realities. We cannot run away from it. At least you should be able to sort out yourself to a reasonable percentage before you start asking for that assistance. At least get the ticket of the party first before you now start asking for a certain assistance financially, because of course we know that electorates, you don't go to them without anything. Okay, there must be something you are giving to them before speaking to them to vote for you.
Okay, let me come to you, Andrew of the PDP. What the feel has been like in your party. I know that one of the things that your party has been proud of is the position of its national youth leader and the person who's currently occupying. I find it a little strange, though, that he has a chief of staff, but hey, I mean, different strokes for different folks. So what exactly has it been like? Has that been able to rouse some excitement within the youths of your party as to how they're going to be participating in the elections?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me this morning. It's actually been an awesome moment. It's been an awesome time in our party, and there's a whole lot of revolution going on in our party. The atmosphere is changing since the emergence of Prince Mohammed Kandede. We've had so much diversification in terms of the way the party system operates, because in the history of Nigerian politics, this is the first time we'll be having a young lad, coming into politics at that level and that kind of age. And he's somebody who started politics very, very early. At the age of 13, he was already involved in grassroots politics, a very strong grassroots politician. And that have played out, that brought him to limelight where he is today. And since his emergence as a national youth leader, that have changed so many things among the National Work Committee, the BOT.
You talked about diversification. What exactly has diversified?
A lot of diversification in terms of affirmative actions as regards giving attention to the youth. Like, for the first time in our party, you can see that we are making form practically free for the youth. Look at the price of form, and I know a whole lot of work that youth leaders have done to ensure that we got the price that we're getting right now for the youth.
What's the price you're getting for the youth?
From 30 years, it's you're paying 50%, which is 600,000 naira. So with 600,000 naira, you can become a National Assembly House of Assembly. But what we're doing right now, the advocacy from the youth wing that our National Youth Leader is championing, is to ensure that we take it from down to up. because the challenges that we're facing in this part of the world, you know, everybody just want to be a president, everybody want to be a governor. But the truth remains, we forgot the role of party politics. And if we must get our leaders, if we must understand and play in the system effectively well, we must come in through party politics, make it much more easier for us. Because the system has been designed in such a way that the youth have been marginalized. Our generation have, you know, been put aside. And we've come to understand that the best strategy we can penetrate through leadership position in this government or in this present dispensation is to come in through party politics. So how do you do that? You encourage young people to go in for councillorship position, to go into ward leader position, local government leader position. By the time you grab leadership from the grassroots, from the ward level, gradually, take an example of this demography. If at the world level, we're doing party politics at the world level, and everybody that are ESCO there, they are below the age of 30. They'll be able to influence things at the local government level. I'm talking about party politics. Same thing if at the local government level, leaders at the local government level, they are, let's say, 35 down to 25. You will influence it at the senatorial level. Same thing goes to the state level. Now, by the time you begin to influence things from the party politics angle, you can make changes on who governs you as a councillor and say, if the people at my ward, what ESCOs I have, they are between 25 and 35. They can determine, because they are delegates, they can determine who becomes their local government chairman. And they can say, oh, fine, if we, that the delegates are between 25 to 30 or 35, we want a local government chairman that should not be above 35 or between 35 and 25. They can influence who becomes the National Assembly member who represent their constituency. So what we are championing from the youth wing since the emergence of our youth leader that brought victory, we want to ensure that since he came in through party politics, let's influence youth, young people, to go into party politics so that we can influence things at the elective level, the main politics. So if you come in through that level across political board, I bet you to take over hands of affair in this country.
So you are encouraging young people to go for elective positions at the lower level?
Yeah, through party politics, so that they can
politics.
influence things at the main election. It will help them very well.
So that's on the one hand, while we're talking about elective positions, and that's extremely important because people will be asking whether or not, I mean, after all the agitation for the Not Too Young to Run Act, was it just for the sake of it, or did young people really mean it? Now that we have the act, what exactly are they doing with it? There'll be questions in that regard. But then there's also the question of more and more young people getting involved in politics. Getting interested in the process, not just staying online and talking about and whining, but actually actively going out to get their voter registration cards. How is that drive coming along in politics? Because when I asked, some of the experts this morning, they did say that that should also be the responsibility of political parties because they are the greatest beneficiary of the votes that eventually come out of the election. So how are you pushing that within your political parties that more and more young people get registered, be active and at least own a voter's card if you're not going to join political parties? Absolutely. At the minimum?
Absolutely.
How is that going?
Yeah, that's the place of sensitization. By setting up structures down to the grassroots level, which I earlier said, when you're able to sensitize people, now you have to come in, make them understand the importance of their votes. We've been so discouraged in this part of the world at the political level that we felt that voting is a waste of time. And that is what we're trying to discourage. We're discussing something before we came into the studio that, look, if you look at the elders activists that are before us, the strength, the vigor they have, the energy they have to pull through is gradually declining, handing it over to our present generation. Now, we are pulling through. Now, and we are getting discouraged because there's always the divide and rule that our elders always do among the young generation. I come from a student union angle, from an activist angle. So the game of divide and rule still plays out among this generation, like just throw charts for them and they'll be divided. Now we felt, okay, there is a need for the young generation to come together and speak with one voice. And what will be that voice? That's your voter's card. And if every youth, in our demography have this voter's card and can actually put through and say, we want a youth, irrespective of where you come from, irrespective of your financial status. We know what you possess. We know your potentials. We know your qualities. We want you to go and represent us because The only people who are full of witty ideas, creative inventions and innovations is from our generations. So we cannot just sit down and be complaining that our elders are not giving us chance. So let's get involved. Fine, all of us cannot be in elective position.
Now, I'm asking how that is going. I'm glad that you're pointing out the fact that more and more people are getting discouraged.
Yes.
You know, and getting disenchanted. It's the young people who are traveling out of this country in droves. Yeah, the ones who are going through the Sahara, you know, and getting lost, you know, in the sea. They're big issues. Only recently, just yesterday, we hosted the NANS president here, and he was talking about how, you know, ASU has not been attended to. Young people are at home sitting down at home. But that is also, that could be an advantage. Maybe that's not the kind of advantage we want to promote. Because, you know, there's been that challenge of how, when, I mean, talking about tertiary institutions, young people register, maybe they register in school. On elections day, they are at home because schools are closed, and oftentimes universities are closed. They are asked to go home and vote, you know. But how do you do that? I mean, so do you think that this could be an opportunity for young people? Because now they're at home. They might as well register at home now that the schools are currently closed.
That's the more reason why young people need to get angry. They need to take up the bull by the horn. He said the violent take it by force. He said, does anyone want to build a tower? Let him sit down forth and count the cost. And what is the cost implication of allowing same politicians, as in our leaders, you know, that have not brought innovation and changes? What's the implication of allowing them to stay at the corridors of power? The implication is that things will get worse. So if you get angry in the spirit and make up your mind that, look, I can't fight these people, but the only tool that I have is my voter's card. So whatever it takes me, let's just do it once and for all. So within our folks, within our cycle, we can talk to ourselves. So most times it saddens our heart that you see on election, you see young people go to play ball. But I'm happy that a lot of people are beginning to come into political limelight. That is the essence of even reducing form that PDP is doing. That's the essence of discouraging high cost of purchase of form for young people so that they can get involved. So at least if you can even raise form, we can see how we can galvanize. Like, if you look at what we're doing from the youth angle, we are trying everything within our reach to ensure that young people are given platform opportunities down to what level, local government level, state level, so that they can influence things. By the time we begin to grab them from the ward down to state level, things will be influenced at the national. A time will come, we'll sit down and say, now we've occupied from the world level down to National Assembly. Now we want to sit down and make a decision across party line that young guys, as it stands right now, 50% of people from the from the councillorship down to House of Rep, we are below the age of 40. We want to determine who becomes our next president. I bet you things will change drastically.
Well, it's the same.
It's a workable principle.
I've listened to the same arguments instead on this chair
Exactly.
for women as well. Because, you know, when you're talking about young people, I have to ask, does this include women? Are you including young girls in this conversation? Just wondering.
So for me, most times when I talk about young people, I'm always very categorical that being a young person or a youth is not a sense of entitlement.
Absolutely.
Okay, you must work for whatever you want to become. Okay, so and I hate it when people see young people or women like weaklings or people that cannot fend for themselves. I mean, we've got very strong, brilliant women. We've got very strong, brilliant men, young men and women. Okay, in our society. And we can get things done, okay? All we just need to do is better strategy. You were asking about what the political parties are doing to get their members or get members of the public registered, you know, in the continual voter registration process. Now, unfortunately, we have a reasonable chunk of people who are not internet savvy. You know, and now the mode of registration is you have to do some online registration before, you know, you go for data capturing in the offices, INEC offices close to around where you stay. Now, what the APC is doing is we're putting together people in different wards who can assist these people who are not savvy, who does not really even understand, to help to fill these forms, because it's not as easy even to us that can do these things. You know, I've tried a couple of things on it, and it's not that easy, you know. So yeah, so we want to have people, we're putting together people that will help people to register, so that all they just need to do is to go to the INEC office for capturing, which is, you know, fingerprint, and I mean, those ones are things that you have to do yourself. Nobody's going to help you to do that. So yes, that's what the APC is doing. Now, we have a situation in this country where the demography of the women and the youth, so the youth is categorized into men and young women. Okay, so but most times when we talk about...
It'll be interesting to see that breakdown, because I mean, that youth, I do not just like that label at all. I think we should ask for a further breakdown. It says male over 2.6 million, female 2.7, and look at this. I mean, females 2.7, okay. Male 2.6. People living with disabilities 45,412, and then youths. It doesn't say male or female, 3.7. It would be interesting to see whether there is a greater number of female youths, okay. Or whether you have a greater number, because that should also count for something.
Yeah, I agree. I think why those emphases are laid most times is simply because so for most political parties, because of course the work INEC do is to moderate elections for political parties, basically. So most political parties have a women wing, okay? So most times, and for young people, they always have this, look, you can, and that was why it was difficult when in the APC, a female, you know, to be precise, Rachel Abiola, when she came out for youth leadership, most of the challenges she had when she was consulting with stakeholders and all was, you people cannot have a women leader and still want to have a female as, you know, youth leader and all of that. And so a lot of people felt you'll be taking what the only thing we have, you know, especially for young men, from us, away from us and all. So yeah, so I think,
young men believe that the position of national youth leader is theirs.
So because
I'm clarifying that.
Well, that is what they think.
Okay.
Okay. So and that is why you will hardly even see. Aside from even the youth leader, there's still deputy national youth leader, then there are zonal youth leaders. You hardly even see a female be one of it, because you still have women leader and zonal women leader. Now, the zonal women leader, anybody can, currently the women leader in APC, Dr. Betta Edu, she's less than 40. She's less than 40, she's about 36, 37, okay? Then at the zonal level, you have women... I think
we'll need to confirm that information. Do you have that confirmed?
She's less than 40.
Well, I think she can speak for herself.
Okay, she's less than 40.
When we see her, we'll ask her. We know she's young, though.
She's young. She's young, vibrant, and everything. So she has even taken a spot that is supposed to be for the older women. Okay, so now women have a lot of things going for them in the political party. Okay.
What is the lot of things that I would like you to confirm what this lot of things is. No. You just started something and you must finish.
I think I will be against that.
No, just a moment, because that debate also came up within your own political party as well. I know that this is not about women.
Yeah.
But it is very important that...
So I'll be categorical about APC.
Yes.
Okay.
When you look at your NWC, how many positions actually are occupied by women?
Now you see, most times when we talk about positions, and I always say this, if you don't come out for a position, you will not get it.
Absolutely.
Okay? Agreed. What I'm asking is, because you've talked about how men think, you know, certain positions, or young men think certain positions belong to them. You've also confirmed that even the deputy position of deputy did not go to a woman. The zonal heads, none of them are women. So tell us, now, at the NWC level, how many positions do you have for women? So, how many positions are currently occupied by women?
So no position, apart from the women leader, with the constitution of the party have not even categorically stated if it is going to be a female. Okay, now the point is, if a woman wants to run for
I think
publicity
you
secretary
have already,
or something.
you've answered my question.
Okay.
I mean, you have answered I think that the answer you've given is sufficient, that no position, apart from that of the national woman leader, is it's currently occupied by a woman within your political party.
You know, so and when I said that...
Which says a lot, really.
But at the end of the day, people have to go for positions to get it. There's nothing that says a woman cannot be the publicity secretary of the APC. Okay? Now, when I said the party, the APC in particular has been very, very fair to young people and women. That's the truth. So a House of Rep candidate, aspirant, for instance, is paying for expression of interest form, which is just ₦1 million, okay? And that is all she's going to be paying, while her male counterpart that is above 40 is going to be paying 10 million for it, okay? So
I think that your opening statement said something to the effect that, you know, women and young people should not be looked upon as if they're weaklings.
Exactly,
and they're weak,
and I agree,
and I agree. Things for themselves.
And I still stand by it.
Yeah.
I still stand by it because, see, it has caused more troubles for us than gains. That's the truth. Because at the end of the day, so at the level I am, if they announce me as a DG tomorrow, just the way it happened in the case of the EFCC chairman, a lot of people were like, that small boy, that young. Do you understand? So it just gives, and forgetting that in the First Republic and during the military era, the people that ruled us then were in their late 20s and early 30s.
Do you think that because I'm looking at I have asked this question of women as well. Do you think that the challenges which are confronting young people today, do you think that you need to work across party divides? To be able to surmount this challenge.
Now let me just quickly
ask him this, because he hasn't said much. Do you think that you need to work across party divides?
Absolutely.
To be able to surmount some of those challenges?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we should get to a stage where we come together as a body, as a team, and say, okay, irrespective of our political affiliation, religious affiliation, what's our vision? What's the vision that drives the young people? What do we want to achieve as a young person? What's our aim and objective in this country? What are we looking at? Where are we being disenfranchised? Then let's come together and speak with one voice, irrespective of anything.
How possible is that, considering just how, when I look at social media, you have to ask, it's young people who mostly occupy the space, and they will seem that they're the most divided along those lines. So how possible do you think that is?
It's extremely possible. We practiced it during the NSAS, and young people came together and, we pulled through. So I think if we have this little space that we've been agitating for, we can still put through. Even right, okay, take a look at the women, just make a little comment as regards the women. If you look at PDP right now, we have affirmative action for the women's wing and ensure that at least all position 35% is given to women. We encourage women, like our forms are free for women. In PDP, just only expression of interest, they're just taking, they're not paying for them. So the 40 million women are not paying for it in PDP. So as many women as possible can come and contest. We will even support them to campaign.
Okay, Andrew of the APC, what's your response to that?
So unfortunately, I lost,
what you're going to say?
Yeah, what I was going to say.
But do you think it is possible for you to
Yes,
work
okay,
across
good. So,
divide?
so thanks for bringing me back on my thoughts. Now, it is very possible. I had some back-end conversation with him, and I was telling him, I said, look, we're coming up with a workable plan to have a synergy where the two major political parties will come together and have, especially the young people, and have a rally in this country. Absolutely. Okay, because what affects us in the APC affects them in the PDP. Absolutely. That's the truth, and if we don't come to that reality, we will never, ever solve the problems of where we think or feel we are shortchanged. Absolutely. So we must make a loud statement before 2023. And I'm telling you that we are going to have a rally where you will see PDP, APC wearing their T-shirts and standing on the same podium and speaking in one voice.
Absolutely.
I look forward to that sort of rally.
We're going to make
Do
a
you?
change.
I'm just wondering. Well, we have come to the end of this conversation because we're totally out of time. I didn't want it to end. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on this morning. Hopefully, I know that my producer has taken note, and I know that she will be finding how to include a young woman in the conversation going forward. But thank you so much for coming. We've been speaking with Andrew Abu, who's a member of the APC, and Andrew Enatome, I hope I'm not murdering your surname, who's a member of the People's Democratic Party. Interestingly, they're both, Andrews. And he's also the Chief of Staff to the National Youth Leader of the PDP. Gentlemen, once again, thank you for coming on this morning.